Hello, everybody. It's Uncle Matt, and I'm here to read you another bedtime story. And I'm still sick. Yes, day 9, COVID. Feeling much better. I actually feel quite a bit better. Still coughing and phlegm, but it's still showing that I'm COVID positive. So, because of that, I'm self-isolating. I'm not going outside, not getting new books yet. I'm very hopeful that once those tests clear, I'm thinking hopefully by tomorrow or Friday that I'll be able to go get some new content. But in the meantime, I have picked a rerun episode that we will share. It is called The Crown Affair. And a few days ago, we rebroadcast one of the originals. It's Whatever Happened to Humpty Dumpty. It's a mystery, and today's is a mystery as well. So I hope you enjoy it. It is a sequel. So we'll learn a little more about what happened to Humpty, and with the skill, the expertise from Humpty's brother, Joe Dumpty, a private investigator. So look forward to the story. It's coming up right now. It's time once again for Uncle Matt's bedtime story. Hello, everybody. It's Uncle Matt, and I'm here to read you another bedtime story. And once again, it's a mystery. Oh, can you help me solve this mystery? Our friend, Joe Dumpty, solved a mystery, and we last read that story on Saturday, August 28th, where he solved the mystery of his brother, Humpty Dumpty, that is, who fell down and broke his crown. But you should be happy to know that Humpty Dumpty has made a full recovery. He's going to be okay. So Joe Dumpty, is on the case again, trying to solve the Crown Affair. This is the Crown Affair from the files of a hard-boiled detective. By Joe Dumpty, as told by Jeanie, Franz, Ransom, illustrated by Stephen Axelsen. Are you ready? Let's begin. As you can see here in the map, we'll zoom in a little bit. This is Mother Goose Land, and some of the highlights in Mother Goose Land are the Jack and Jill Play Care Center. And I always like the old woman who lives in the shoe, that house there. It's a pretty nice house. Well, we got the farmer in the Dell's house, and of course, wow, it's really grown, the downtown Gooseland. Wow, I think they even have public transit now in there. It's so busy. The Crown Affair. Here we go. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and lost his crown. Wow. And that's where I come in. Who am I? I'm Joe Dumpty, private investigator. You can see here he's in downtown Gooseland. He has his own shop there. It's going ring ring inside the shop, and it's at the Joe Dumpty's private investigator office. I'm the go-to guy for detective work in Mother Gooseland. I cracked the Humpty Dumpty case when I figured out that my brother Humpty didn't just accidentally fall from that wall. Chief Goose still can't wrap her beak around the fact that I solved more crimes than her gaggle of police geese. So, it must have ruffled her feathers when Jill gave me a jingle. Oh, here we go. Zoom in. Joe Dumpty here is saying, "What's crackin', Jill?" And Jill goes, "Meet me at the hill." "So, Jack's crown is missing," Jill said. "Chief Goose thinks he just lost it, but I'm sure someone took it." But I'm sure someone took it. If that crown isn't found by 2 o'clock today, the Gooseland Games will be canceled. Jill sighed. "I told Jack not to wear the crown except on special occasions. Will you take the case, Joe?" You can see here, there's a sign for the Gooseland Games, and it says 0 sleeps and 2 hours until the games. This case is time sensitive. I'm one tough egg, but I've got a soft shell for damsels in distress, not to mention I'm the biggest Gooseland Games fan this side of old Mother Hubbard's house. Consider it taken, I said. Case taken. I think Joe Dumpty is going to have a challenge with this case. Oh no, crime scene here. "When I rolled up to the hill, all the king's horses and all the king's men were loading Jack onto a stretcher." "How's Jack?" I asked. "Can I talk to him?" "Joe, I'm so glad you're here." And Chief Goose said, "Suit yourself. I'll check on my team. They're bound to turn up that crown soon." And you can see that Chief Goose is going, "Oh, brother." And Jill's running after Joe Dumpty there. Next page. "I went over to talk to Jack. 'Hey,' I said, 'it's Joe Dumpty.' Jack's eyes flew open. He looked right at me. 'It's Jack,' he said. 'No,' I said, 'it's Joe Dumpty, private investigator.' 'It's Jack, Jack, I tell you,' Jack shouted. Was this a clue?" Jill shook her head. That fall must have scrambled his brains. And Jill here says here, "He sounds like a broken record." How? I hate that word scrambled, but I'm hard-boiled enough not to show any reaction. I pulled out my notebook. "Let's take it from the top, Jill." "Jack and I went up to the hill," Jill said, "but all of a sudden, there was this boom, boom, boom overhead. The ground shook and Jack and I both fell down." "When did you notice that the crown was missing?" I asked. "Not right away," Jill replied. "First I checked on Jack, then I called 911. After that, it's a blur. I was a little dizzy myself. I came tumbling down the hill after, you know." Fall or no fall. Fall or no fall, Jill's always been a little dizzy. "Jill," I said, "I need you to focus. Did you see anyone either before or after your fall?" I thought I saw someone run by after we fell," Jill answered, "but it's hard to say who. Maybe it was someone getting ready for the race today." "Maybe, but why would they steal the crown when they had a chance to win it fair and square this afternoon?" You see, Jill here is going, "Beats me, Joe." Whoop. And it says here, looks like this case won't be over easily. "I'm going to lay an egg. If I can't get to the games by 2 to honk the starting horn," Chief Goose interrupted. "Everyone was going to lay a whole dozen eggs if the crown wasn't found and the games had to be canceled." Thankfully, Spider arrived. Ever since the Humpty Dumpty case, Spider's been doing legwork for me. He's got sharp eyes, so Yes, he does. And if he couldn't spot a crown hiding in all this grass, nobody could. You can see here that spider here says, "I'm here, boss." And looks like Chief Goose is saying, "Somebody better shell out that crown, Dumpty." Looks like Chief Goose is a little upset. Spider. Spider got busy combing the area. But just as I suspected, the crown was long gone. Someone had to have taken it. I whipped out my notebook and reviewed what clues I had so far. Wow, not much. Just Jack repeating the name Jack. Do you know how many Jacks live in Mother Gooseland? I decided to start with the closest one. So we can see Spider here in these pictures here. He says, not here, not there, not anywhere. It definitely is a mystery. As I approached Jack Sprat's place, I heard two people fighting. Could they be fighting about the crown? My yoke trembled as I knocked on the door. It swung open, and there were the Sprats playing tug-of-war with... What is that? I asked. It's a red herring, Jack Sprat said. And you can see in the picture here with the red herring. And the Sprats, you can't have that. You know better. Give that back before I crown you. Crown you? I was about to fry it, but he wants it broiled, Mrs. Sprat added. Jack Sprat could eat no fat. His wife could eat no lean. Apparently, it made it tough for them to agree on how to fix their fish. But they did agree on something. We both felt an earthquake, Jack Sprat said when I asked if they'd seen or heard anything that morning. See anyone? I asked. Not until now, when you showed up, Mrs. Sprat said. You might want to talk to our neighbor, Mr. Sprat said. He is always racing around. I thanked the Sprats and headed next door. At first, I didn't think Jack B. Nimble was home, because normally he'd answer on the first knock. I waited and waited until the door finally opened, and I saw why Jack had taken so long to answer. What happened to you? I asked. Jack invited me in. This morning, he said, I was practicing my candlestick jump when this big boom, boom, boom shook the house. I tripped, fell, and hurt my foot. Sounds painful, I said. You don't know the half of it, Jack said. When I landed, I ended up sitting on the candle. Woo! And in the picture here, it looks like Joe Dumpty says, you looked bummed. Because his bum foot and his scorched bottom, Jack wouldn't have been so nimble or quick enough to grab the crown this morning. What do you think that boom was? I asked. Maybe you should ask Jack Hammer, Jack B. Nimble said. He's always building something. And this is a pretty cool house. Look at that. When I knocked on the door of the house that Jack built, a familiar blonde answered. What are you doing here? I asked. I'm house-sitting for Jack Hammer, Goldie said. He's been out of town all week. Out of town? I was running out of suspects unless Goldie knew something or someone. Yes, if you recall from the last story, Goldie was really suspicious. She kind of looks suspicious here too, but we'll see. Where were you around 8 this morning? I asked. Seriously? I never get up before noon, Goldie said, but this morning a loud boom woke me, so I went out for breakfast. The muffin man serves a sweet bowl of porridge. See anyone while you were out? I asked. Yes, I literally ran into a dude I went to nursery school with, Goldie said. Jack, what's his name? He was muttering something about a crown. You might be able to catch him at the Muffin Man. You can see here that Joe Dumpty there says, I'm fried. Another egg joke there. I'm fried. Oh dear. Sure enough, when I go to the Muffin Man's bake shop, there was little Jack Horner sitting in the corner. Word on the street is that Gooseland Games crown's gone missing, little Jack said, and Jill hired you to find it. But I heard that you needed a crown, I said accusingly. Little Jack smiled wide and pointed. Thanks to a cracked tooth from a plum pit, I've already got a crown from the dentist. So you can see here, today's special here at the bake shop is banana muffins and plum pie. There goes that lead, I thought. Any idea who would take the crown? I don't know, little Jack said, but on my way here, a guy ran by me lightning fast. I thought maybe he was someone practicing for the race today. Did you get a good look at him, I asked. I didn't, little Jack said, but he dropped this. There was only one person who could have dropped this magic bean, but that person wasn't even allowed in downtown Gooseland, not after he'd been caught stealing from the giant. It was time to find Jack Beanstalk. And in this picture here, I don't know beans about this. A mystery. Jack Beanstalk's mom still lived on the farm outside of town. I heard she grounded Jack for life after he did jail time for stealing from the giant and was banned from the Gooseland Games. Maybe Miss Beanstalk knew where I could find her son. And it says here, I called Spider and told him where I was going and why. Then I asked him to do something for me. Could you take a run up to the Beanstalk and look around? Maybe you can catch the giant at home. And there's the Spider there saying, and he was reading actually World Wide Web Weekly, quadruple double W, saying, you got it, boss. When Jack's mom opened the door, I showed her the magic bean little Jack Horner had given me. Where'd that come from, she asked. Somewhere your son wasn't supposed to be, I said. He dropped it this morning in downtown Gooseland. That's impossible, Jack's mom said. Jack's been in his room all day. Well, my phone rang as I followed Jack's mom into the house. It was Spider. I'm with the giant, he said. Jack tried to run off with a bag of the giant's gold today. When the giant told him to stop, Jack laughed and taunted the poor guy until he was hopping mad. The giant then chased Jack, who dropped the bag of gold and disappeared down the beanstalk. When did this happen? Around 8, Spider said. 8? That's when everyone felt the ground shaking. It must have been the giant running after Jack. Let's see here. The boom, boom, boom of the steps of the giant, and, Jack and the Beanstalk guy, Jack there, saying, nah, 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 boo, boo, you can't catch me. Okay. Next page. Jack wasn't in his room, surprise, surprise. But the window was open. I snuck my head out and looked around. It would be a crime to have to cancel the games on such a bright, sunny day. I checked my watch. It was almost 2 o'clock and almost too late. That's when I saw a flash of gold in the trees. Thank you, Mr. Sun. Things were looking up. I called Spider back and told him to hurry over. I pointed out the window. Is there someone or something over there? I asked Jack's mom. Just Jack's old treehouse, she said. I raced outside and saw a ladder nailed to the side of a tree. Where was Spider when I needed him? I looked up, and there was Jack Beanstalk. Huh. Jack Beanstalk wearing the missing crown. Jack Beanstalk, bring that crown down right now, I shouted. It's not yours. It is now, Jack said. Finders keepers. You can see some signs. Well, you see Joe Dumpty here saying, you poached the crown. And some signs down here, private keep out and no giants. That will keep the giants away for sure. Looking at the sign saying, oh, I better not go there. No giants. Jack Beanstalk had to have been the guy Jack and Jill saw running by the well. And he must have been the one who almost, and almost is the key word, knocked down little Jack Horner. Jack Hill had indeed been trying to clue me in on who'd taken the crown, but I knew there was more to this story. You can see here, recapping that. Jack was warning Joe Dumpty that it was Jack all along. You didn't just take the crown, Beanstalk, I said. You made sure to taunt the giant first to get him to chase you. You knew he'd shake all of Mother Gooseland, and Jack and Jill wouldn't stand a chance on staying on their feet. Then you slid down the beanstalk and grabbed the crown off the ground. Jack Beanstalk smirked shyly or slyly. Timing is everything. It's be your fault, then, if the Gooseland Games are cancelled because you stole the crown. I said, do you want to ruin it for everyone? I don't care, Jack said. I can't compete in that dumb old race anyway. Besides, everyone knows I can run faster and climb higher than anyone in Mother Gooseland. The crown should be mine. And there's Joe Dumpty says, don't egg me on. It would have been yours if you hadn't tested positive for magic beans at the finish line last year, I said. Bring that crown down right now. Come and get it, Jack Beanstalk said. Oh, wait, you can't. You Dumpty boys are scared of heights. Huh. And Jack here was saying, you're beaten, Dumpty. Oh, Spider. Spider says, but I'm not. Soaring onto the scene, I almost laughed. Jack Beanstalk was jumping around like he had beans in his britches. This guy could steal from a giant, but was scared of an itsy-bitsy spider? Oh, boy. The crown slipped off his head. I held out my hat, hoping that my experience as catcher for the Gooseland Gagglers would serve me well. And it looks like Joe did it right. He caught it. Keep your eyes on him, I told Spider. I have to get this crown to Chief Goose before the games are canceled. All right. Good work, Joe, Chief Goose said. You came through for everyone in Mother Gooseland, and great hustle getting that crown here. Maybe next year you should run in the games. I smiled and shook my head. Thanks, Chief, I said, but I think I'll stick to running after bad guys. Look at that. Joe there, putting the crown on, is it the tuffet there? A little stool. I've just gotten word that the cow jumped over the moon and no one's seen her since. It's time for this egg to get cracking again. Wow. The end. Another case solved by Joe Dumpty. With the help of his assistant, the spider. Well, that's all the time we have for this mystery and Uncle Matt's bedtime story. I hope you enjoyed that story, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.